Aloha, ladies and gentlemen. We'd ask if you have seats next to you that please everyone move into the center to make the available seats on the outside. And then if you are standing, we would ask you to please come and sit down in a seat. Everyone in the room should be seated, please. So if there's space next to you, please move in so there's no spaces in between you. Thank you very much. We do have to have everyone seated in a seat. So if you are standing in the back, we would ask you to please move forward and come take a seat. Thank you.
We're just waiting for Makalapo to come so she can do the pule before we start. I think we should start it off with a pule, and then we'll start the meeting. So thank you.
If anyone's trying to get onto Wi-Fi, Kapalua 23, all one word, not 2023, no spaces, just Kapalua lowercase 23 at the end. That'll get you onto the Wi-Fi while you're in the meeting. Thank you.
All right, we still have some people coming in. First, my name is Senator Patel with LahainaTown Action Committee. I'm the board president. Really want to thank everybody for being here, being in this space, being respectful, coming with intention. And, you know, this is put together by many of us within the community, business community, to try to get some answers. And we hope that it's productive. Don't want to stand up here, say a bunch of words. I'm going to pass it to Lynn, and we're going to get the meeting going. So thank you all. Mahalo for being here. Sorry, one more thing. There's a lot of businesses that couldn't be here, and I apologize for that. And a lot of community people, I do apologize for their hundreds reached out. So the need is real for things like this. So I do want to stress that. Yeah. All right, so I guess I got to stall a little. People still trying to trickle in. But yeah, LahainaTown Action Committee, we started out in 1988. Some of the original founding members are here. And it's an organization that its purpose was to be a conduit for that business community within Lahaina and kind of spread out from there into West Maui to share some of their struggles or needs even just things positively that were going on with them, with the county, community stakeholders, and at the state level. So that's how our organization started. And, at its height, we had over 125 business members. We've definitely, through the pandemic, lost a lot of members. And now with this devastation, even more. So yeah, our organization, used to put on major events as well that were well organized. 4th of July, Halloween being some of the more, I guess, ones that you might recognize. So we're shifting our focus though. Our focus now is completely to try to pivot, like many of the businesses here will perhaps need to again, and to look at being a resource, a hub. I know there's a lot of resource hubs physically. We're hoping to be that hub in more of that digital space through our website, through organizing meetings, to being that representation for the business community and the community at large. So it's not about blocking anybody from joining us or not being with us, but we do have that focus of being business centric and being that support for businesses, along with the Chamber of Commerce as well on the Maui level, the state level. But we do want to engage the community as well, because we're all connected. So mahalo everybody that's here from the community business side and at the county level, state level, federal level. So kind of first meeting probably of its kind, but there'll be more of this. So do want to hand it to Lynn. She's going to take over the rest of the evening. Hopefully this doesn't go to the evening, the rest of the meeting. So thank you. Mahalo, Lynn.
Mahalo Sne. Before we get started, I wanted to go ahead and do a pule. Just an opening. And of course, I want to introduce, most of you know Makalapua, Kanuha. And of course, she got stuck outside, so I apologize for that. So if you could go ahead and do a pule for us, appreciate it.
Veli na mai me ke aloha aloha. E pule kako. Haliu mai oi e kalani e noho oi I ka iu e ho'opo mai ka I. Ya mako me ko aloha. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come together in the same space as community, people, members, leaders. We thank you for blessing each and every one of us who is here. Ke akua, we ask that all of our hearts be knitted to yours. And we pray that you be in the midst of our conversations today. And that you are the only way that you will open up all the answers for all of our questions today. Ke akua, we ask this in your precious son's name, Jesus Christ. I mau aku ka loko mai ka I o ka haku Yesu Kristo. Me ke aloha o ke akua, a me ka launa puana ka ohane. Hemalele me ka ko a pau. He ke akua, e ho'ola mai oe. E ke akua, e ho'o mai ka I mai oe. E ke akua, e ho'o malu mai oe. E aloha mai, 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 e aloha mai. Amene, amene, amene.
Thank you, Makalapua. Thank you. So I want to thank you all for coming to this meeting today. This meeting was called by Lahaina Action Committee. We came in last week and met with the Lahaina Action Committee, SNE, mahalo for the invite. And we wanted to make sure that we didn't leave people out. But we also wanted to be inclusive and transparent as best as we could, and then answer questions for the businesses. And really, That's what we wanted to make sure that nobody was left out and that we could have that conversation. So I'm gonna, and I'm sorry that we're starting a little late. So I wanna just go ahead and I'm gonna do introductions really fast, and then we can move on with the meeting. So first off, I have with us today, and we brought in many of the different partners, departments, and government officials in regards to subject matter of business in general. So with us today, I have Governor Josh Green, Mayor Bisson, Senate President Ron Kochi, Senator Mike Gabbard, Senator Mike Richards, Senator Angus McKelvey, this is his district, Senator Lorraine Inouye, Senator Jarrett Keokalole. We also have Congresswoman Jill Tokuda with us. And then I better read the rest before I forget everybody else. Sitting next to me is Debate Director Jimmy Tokioka, Adjutant Major General Hara, Mr. Boutier from DLNR, Mr. Ito from Insurance Commissioner, Brian Yee from the Office of Attorney General, Jerry Kalili from Department of Transportation, from the County, Luana Mahi with Office of Economic Development. Sorry, I could see that far. But Lane Silva with Liquor Commission, Dean Hanzawa from Deputy DCCA, sorry, Yolanda Stokes, also from SBA, and Sharon Hurd from the Department of Agriculture. Also, we have Chief Pelletier here from the Police Department and our National Guards. I also want to acknowledge in the room with us is also HTA members. And then in the back, Senator Gil Agaran, there's a chair for you right there at the corner, as well as many Councilwoman Ellis Lee. And I believe on Zoom, yeah, I did. And I believe on Zoom, we have several of our, I believe Representative Kyle Yamashita is on there, as well as Councilwoman Tamara Paulton, Chair and Rep Mark Nakashima, Representative Cedric Gates, Representative Lamasao, Representative Sean Quinlan, and Linda Ichiyama. Joining us here from the House later will also be Chair Representative Della Baladi. And then we also have on Zoom Senator Joyce San Buenaventura, also from the Big Island, and Ways and Means staff, Stacey Ferreira, as well as from Senator Angus McKelvey's office, Wendy Wilson and Beth McKenzie. So I wanna first also, if you guys can, please turn your ringers off. The bathroom, if you need to go to the bathroom, 50 feet out the door, make a left another 50 feet, around the corner, 25 feet, take a left on that side, and then men and women's bathroom is there. But I wanna first introduce Governor, if you would come up and say a few words, and then, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So an incredible amount to share. Thank you, first of all, for coming together. I'm going to try to be as direct as I can, give a basic update, because there's a lot of specific questions we want to get to today. So not in any particular order, day 28 since the crisis, the number of lost loved ones has held around 115 for the time being. Comprehensive and extensive investigations are going on. Many mahalos to the police and fire for championing that effort with search and rescue. We do expect more lost loved ones to be discovered over time. We are also working very carefully through the FBI's list and the number of cases that the police have opened. It's going to be relevant to us from a human standpoint and also to a recovery standpoint. So wanted to frame things that way. First of all, there's an extraordinary amount of relief coming and on the ground already. From the outset, we do have, and we're setting aside all politics. Of course, we have support from the president's team, from the speaker's team, from our congressional delegation. Everyone's been here fighting for resources. It is never easy, but we're going to fight for all the resources we can get. As you know, FEMA was here from the very start. Bob Fenton is our lead here on the ground, very experienced. That will matter more than we even think in the context of this meeting, because as we come up with solutions that are economic, we have to be thoughtful to make sure that we maximize the support that we can get from the federal government as part of our recovery, along with the state contribution, along with the county contribution, along with philanthropic contributions. All of this will matter because it will determine how much support we can get to families that lost loved ones, people who lost their homes, businesses who are in a state of either destruction or a suspension. Okay, so it's very important that I mention those things. From a housing standpoint, we already have 6,000 people, as you know, in hotel rooms and another 1,100 plus people in Airbnbs. That's 7,000 out of the 12,000 individuals that were affected in the region. Other people went to stay with family, they went to the mainland. There's a lot of different possibilities, but that's about the universe that I want to describe. As we come up towards a month, we will have to have much longer solutions for people that are in hotels. We will humbly ask for a 2-week extension to get people to 6 weeks, and then we have a 6-month option that immediately gets triggered, which can go to 18 months. So we will do what we can to get an 18-month solution so that people can stay essentially in longer term rentals. In other words, converting, we're working on this diligently, converting what currently are like Airbnbs, short-term rentals, into much longer rentals. You'll hear some of that today. So we can get people into 18 months. A lot of that will also help not only stabilize families, it will open up opportunities for the broader recovery, which is having hotels be open, having people back in their jobs. So I want you to know that we're doing what we can to accelerate that. The faster we can get there, the faster I can give you a hard date, although we're going to talk about that today, about what it means to begin to open and what you feel. I'm here mostly to listen to some of the proposals, but I will speak specifically to a few things right now. First of all, Mayor and I spoke just moments ago, but we speak constantly. There are many voices in the community right now. We are hearing all of them. The voices range from please slow down, don't rush to open anything until people have mourned, to a totally other voice, which is please help us open immediately so we can help people mourn and survive. So that is absolutely what we are focusing on, okay? Just wanted to reassure people of that. So we're hearing from whether it's the Hawaiian community or the Filipino community, the business community, of which many overlap in many ways. We are a family fully integrated. Let's speak a little bit towards survival. I do feel strongly that we have to have at least clarity and be strong on whatever dates we do choose to open, because that was one of the problems we had with COVID. It was uncertainty, more probably than the delay. I think it was uncertainty. Also, I will say, not just because this is our meeting today, we did pretty well supporting individuals through the process with money, $600 a month plus up unemployment and so on. We had a very difficult time supporting small businesses. We're going to try to do much better with that, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We do intend to produce a lot of resource, just so you know, in addition to the FEMA monies. We are working to use TANF monies, temporary assistance for needy families. We have hundreds of millions of dollars in that fund. We can bring money directly to people month over month, which will help your workers, your families, and so on. We'll do that in partnership with philanthropy. We'll do it to the best of our ability in the context of whatever we can get reimbursed for, but we don't anticipate full reimbursement. We anticipate having to do more than our part as a state. Now let's talk a little bit about businesses. There is a proposal on the table. I think it will be vetted a little bit today. I'm just going to be blunt because I think this is a time to be direct. There's a proposal as of this moment to provide $20 million in support for small businesses in the short term. I'll let individuals go over that proposal. The county has some resources already. I have spoken to the Hawaii Community Foundation. They're happy to tap the Maui Strong Fund, and so will the state. But we need to the best of our ability, to get buy-in out of respect from the Senate, from the House, the governor's office. Okay, so we have to be smart about this, and we want to make it very efficient and streamlined so that it's not a delay or a wait to get us through that period until we can begin to recover. What else can I share with you? I know I'll be available for some additional questions. What I can say is that this is going to be a very long recovery. It's going to take at least 3 months to do the EPA cleanup of the waste, the toxic waste in the region, the 1 by 5 mile region. It's going to take at least 6 months then to begin and complete the debris cleanup. We've already got the Army Corps of Engineers on that. We're in constant work and communication with those who have insurance. That's why you have our insurance commissioner today. Some people will get their resources, others will not get a lot of resources, which means we will have to come forward with a broader support program for all the people. That's something that's in the works. But it's going to be at least a year before people can reliably begin to rebuild, which means we're going to have to do temporary housing. We're going to have to do some programs like that to help people in this bridge. Those are the fundamentals. Obviously, there are many, many more things I could share. I'm grateful that everyone is working in a kind way together. That's the only way we can do this and get this done in a way that actually helps people through this incredible trauma. And that's where we're coming from. I'm going to pause there because I know there's a lot of questions and a lot of people that need to kind of be heard. But I'll be available, and just know that we do want to put together a plan as soon as possible, but we're trying hard to get full buy-in so that it's kind of all together in one canoe. Okay, mahalo.
Thank you, Governor. Next up, I want to go ahead and call up Mayor Bisin to say a few words, please.
Aloha mai kako. I just want to reiterate, first of all, our thoughts and prayers to those of you who have lost loved ones, lost homes, lost businesses. I think today's discussion is about how we can get money into people's hands. What's the best and quickest way we can do that? There's only a few ways you can do that. You have a job where you can earn money. You get a loan from a bank or small business administration, or you can get grants from government or private sources. I think that's the topic of today's discussion, and I want us to get right to it. So thank you again. I'll also be around for questions as well.
Mahalo, Mayor. Before I call up Senate President, I would also like to acknowledge the Maui Chamber of Commerce, Pam Tumpop, as well as the State Hawaii Chamber of Commerce, Sherry Manor, sorry, it's been a long morning. And thank you guys for being here. Without further ado, Senate President, if you would come up and please say a few words. Thank you.
Aloha. On behalf of the Hawaii State Senate, we also offer our condolences to those who have lost loved ones and for all of those impacted by the devastating fires. The strongest message the Senate can send you in our commitment to work together is by being here this morning to show you the relationship that your three senators have. Senator Gabbard chairs the Ag Committee. Senator Richards was affected by the fires in his district in Kohala. He's the vice chair of the Ag Committee. Senator Lorraine Inouye is the Water Land Chair. Senator Keho Kalole is the Consumer Protection Chair. And as the president, I can tell you I represent the islands of Kauai and Niihau. I was council member elect in 1982 when Eva hit Kauai, and that's how I took office. And I was chair of the council in 92 when Hurricane Iniki devastated Kauai. So I certainly understand the length of recovery and how long this is going to take. And we're here this morning to tell you we are committed to work with you. In the short term, in our budget, $5 million was in the disaster account. We have, from the $200 million account that got much attention at the end of last session, transferred another 30 million so that the governor and his administration have immediate resources to work in the community, while we now are in the process of looking at what we're going to do on a longer term. And I can assure you that the Senate is committed to continue to work with you, and we count on our Maui delegation to keep us informed about what's the best way to go forward. Thank you.
Mahalo, Senate President. And that's why he does Senate President, because I never even introduced him by island or by title. But, you know, I just want to say when I came here, it basically was, I didn't know everything, but I knew the people that did know everything, and their commitment to coming here and wanting to help us listen and learn. Keep in mind, for those of you that are here, that as we ask questions and answers, there are things that you might want to ask on a different subject matter, but I want to keep it that this is Lahaina Action Committee, and it is a business question and answers. So I'm going to go straight to it and start off with the first question. And first of all, one of the questions that was asked was, for all departments, whether governor or mayor, is there one point of contact where questions like these can be asked? And when we first came back, we took back with us, and this is for governor, will there be a rent moratorium for commercial businesses that are shut down, that are burnt down, or open, but with heavily reduced businesses due to lack of tourism?
So we're going to hand off back and forth between me and Jimmy a little bit too here. So Jimmy will be our point person on business and economic development questions, though you can obviously reach any of us in the governor's office. But when we talk about the grants and so on and processing those that we're going to get to today, he'll be a source of information directly. Okay, so that's important. He's also managed the hotel programs. Jimmy Tokioka, what's your email, Jimmy, for best purposes?
james.tokioka@hawaii.gov. It's also on the state website.
And I'm simply josh.green@hawaii.gov. Okay, so it's straight. So the question is moratorium. So we right now currently in the emergency proclamation, which has several iterations, keeps getting updated, has a moratorium on, as you know, residential tenants. So it's illegal for tenants to be evicted for non-payment of rent. That does not apply to commercial properties yet. We're going to explore that with the Attorney General very quickly. I don't know, can I get a show of hands how many people are facing some kind of circumstance like that right now? Okay. And these might be, obviously, these are properties outside of Lahaina, and inside of Lahaina. Okay. So we'll take that back to the Attorney General right away, especially inside of Lahaina, but we're going to try to get some relief immediately so people have some economic cushion until at least we can take a breath. That's the purpose right now, and that's where you're going to hear proposals of a $10,000 and $20,000 increment of grants, $10,000 for smaller businesses, $20,000 for larger businesses to get us through a short period of time. Again, we have to discuss that as a team. So that's the first answer.
Thank you, Gov. The second question is, will the county/state/federal government help businesses with grants, not loans, and when can we expect this funding? I think you answered it. It was just on the expected date. And then we have to talk into the mic so that they can hear on Zoom.
So why don't we get some info from the county first?
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, we're working on a grant program similar to what the governor just mentioned with Hawaii Community Foundation. They will be then, we've provided with them 2 different organizations that will be offering these grants, and we should have a press release by the end of the week. And hopefully you can all apply with those 2 organizations starting next week. And those are grants, not loans.
What we have heard from a lot of people is they're still suffering under the weight of grants from PPP and so on. And we're therefore just going to focus on, they were focused on loans then, now we're going to focus on grants now. And we do have a pretty good infrastructure, though it was very difficult through COVID, but we have a good infrastructure of communications and a lot of people's information. There might be someone who didn't get affected or a new business, it's possible. So we'll just have to make sure that you're connecting right away. But Maui Economic Organization is going to be big. Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry, next question. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going down with questions for the governor first, and then we can move to the next subject matters. These questions were sent in and given to President Senator Patel. So thank you. Next question. Right now, we have evacuees staying in hotels, condos. How long is FEMA and Red Cross able to fund this for? And what are the next phases for the evacuees?
Okay, so I alluded to that a little bit earlier. In the first moments after the crisis began, we did a contract for $99 million with the Red Cross. which got us essentially a month. And then it's going to be a much more expanded period of time. So we're hopeful to get to, like I said earlier, 6 weeks where people could stay in hotels as needed, but we'll begin to move people out. Even really, we've already begun. We have, I should share, we have 681 Airbnbs that registered through our initial program that seem willing on some level to do very long-term rentals. We're probably going to need somewhere between 2,500 and 3,000 locations for people to stay. We're working on that right now. Once we get that universe assembled, which is happening in real time, we can then do long-term contracts for up to 18 months. We're hopeful with a reasonable rate. This is not an Airbnb night overnight rate. This is going to be a monthly rate that we can lock in that large number of units, because I think people are going to be cognizant that it's going to be very difficult times to rent out their Airbnbs for a period of time. We're going to try to lock in people in that way so that the hotels can open. We may very well still rely on 2 or 3 hotels if they decide that it's in their best interest to be a part of this program. Keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of people coming into West Maui in the coming months and years to do the cleanup, the debris work. We'll try to use local businesses to the very best of our capability, but there will be some people that come and have to stay for prolonged periods of time. Sometimes it'll be Airbnb, sometimes it'll be hotels, but that's the model. So we get to 18 months and we can then look at greater extensions later, but that will at least give us a stable period of time all the way into 2025, where we have that economic survival. We're able to do what we can to begin to move toward normal for some. And then there'll just be a lot of long-term settlements, rebuild, and so on. All of that's going to require a lot of housing. We were already tight on housing, so that's the basic picture of it. We do expect, like I mentioned earlier, to do some form of bridge housing. These will be lower impact, non-permanent housing that FEMA pays for. Much of these resources get paid for either entirely by FEMA through the rent assistance program or reimbursed to the state, usually at a rate of 75-25. Sometimes it's bumped as high as 90-10 or even 100%. The president did give us 1 full month of 100% reimbursement, which we are grateful for.
Thank you, Governor. Next question. Who and what department or decision maker gets to make the final call on access to this area?
Ultimately, me, and then that's with the input, of course, with our FEMA leadership and the police and fire to be safe. It's very important that we also follow the county's lead. When I say police and fire, they're working for the mayor. So they're the ones that know the technical nature. So we rely very heavily on that. We have every department engaged on some level. For example, Department of Health is very prominent just for safety, air quality, and so on. We have to be careful enough that we're not putting anyone into harm's way, but at the same time, we're aware that harm accumulates if we have to delay. And so I don't want to sound glib about that. I really want to say that it is a very difficult balancing act, but we learned a lot in the past crises to follow the lead of what can be done safely. And also, we're going to have to bring in and out a lot of debris, in and out a lot of housing personnel. So that's just a consideration for how quickly we can reopen. I will tell you, this is one consideration that's been talked about, just so you can think about it, because I want to hear from you. One consideration is to, on October 1st, begin a period of, say, 6 weeks where it's mostly Kama'aina activity here in West Maui, where people can come, people can support us from around the island. A lot of people have demonstrated a desire to do that. And then going forward from 11/15 on, we are open to the extent that we can begin to heal and begin to have more regular economic activity. It is going to be very sensitive and very rough because people do need to mourn. But I want to make sure we have some clarity from the community, from you, from the leadership on what that looks like. I'm very reluctant to wait too long and see more casualties, in this case, economic casualties, suffer on top of the loss that we have.
Thank you, Gov. Next question, and I'll just throw it out there if it's not for you or somebody else. Businesses in Lahaina Business Park, Emerald Plaza, etc., are being prevented from operating by a civil authority, even if the business is fully capable of conducting its business otherwise. For businesses not affected by the fire that can be open, we need to know that entity to publish a declaration describing their closure actions so that businesses can use that to trigger and justify their insurance claims. Which government entity is responsible for taking these actions?
because he's such a gentle figure and likes to speak quietly, we thought we'd bring the chief up for this.
So first off, our deepest condolences, you know, that can't be stressed enough. I have to leave a little bit before noon today because we're going to have a briefing with the families of those that actually lost people and try to get them some information. So I have my assistant chief here. So please don't excuse that for why I'm doing this. I want to make this very clear. The government, particularly the police department, I know some of the mayor's philosophy on this because he's spoken about it. We are very much not trying to prevent any businesses from effectively opening. Let me make that very clear, because nobody really knows this yet, but we're still conducting. The reason we're at 99% for the search, we have anthropologists that are going based on information we have, based on recoveries that we have, to go make reclamations of the people we've lost. And what I mean by that is we may not have gotten all of them. And so we're trying to, or all of them as a whole person. And so we're trying to do everything we can. The temperature of that fire may have burned in excess of 2,000 degrees. Glass melts at 2,000 degrees. The reason I'm saying that is concrete and steel is tempered. When steel gets hot to a certain point, its structure becomes compromised. And so if there's a building with a wall and it's steel reinforced and you go pull out, let's say, what's left of a machine or a device, I don't know that wall is going to come crashing down on you. I have no guarantees of that whatsoever. And so you think about, oh, wait a minute. Okay, just because you see something that may be there doesn't mean it's yet safe in order to do that. What we want to do is we want to get the ability to get folks into their businesses, to their properties as fast as possible. Just there was a question on the wharf. Let me, because I think it'll make sense when I kind of jump ahead a little bit. There's a question on the wharf. Hey, can we get access to the wharf? The police department does not control the wharf. That's a DLNR or a Coast Guard on that. We will get you through the access point once those entities deem it safe. We'll help with that. But we just can't go and take over private property and say, you're going to use this route. So we have to be respectful and make sure that there's a certain access, and we respect all those different things. And so as we have a phased opening, which I know that the Deputy Managing Director, Josiah Nashida, is in charge of laying out the phased openings. As we have a phased opening and we get there, we're going to get it as quickly as we can based on the safety and the ability to do that. So if there's certain hazards or there's certain issues with the particular building, and not everybody's going to know all what those hazards are. And just think about it this way too, is the police department, it's public safety and then law enforcement. That's really our kuleana. We don't go past that. And so I can't just do a search and seizure of your business for no reason. And so while we've got the proclamations and we've got certain dangers, we're trying to mitigate them as fast as we can. But there's so many different layers in there. So we will be as quick as we can in that. But we want to make sure that some of these things that are barriers that maybe folks don't see are removed, because the last thing we want, and I think everybody will agree with this, is we as a community have suffered enough and we don't even know what that toll is. But the last thing we all want is for more suffering because we were too quick to do something and somebody got hurt or worse. And so we will get that as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you, Chief. And then what are the current rules, Chief, for access?
So we don't control the list. That's a rumor that the police department controls this list. And so the county and the EOC has put together based on, because it's not fair to have the police department as this super powerful body that has all access. So we don't do that. And so we allow that the process in place with the Deputy Managing Director. They've got a list together that we're making sure that we get sensitive stakeholders in there. So if there was, let's say, a safe that might have been compromised and open, the last thing we want is looters on bodies, but we don't want looters on certain things like that. We want to make sure we drain the gas and things like, so sensitive stakeholders. But there was a priority list that the mayor, and he's probably way better at explaining that list.
Mayor, can I throw this question at you? Yeah. Thank you.
So two people you folks can contact. Darryl Oliveira is responsible for any businesses that want to return. Del Oliveira is the head of the MEMA organization right now. If you want to ask questions about your residents, that would be Josiah Nishita. They are the contact people for the county right now, deciding when folks can get back in. The phased opening that has been talked about is we have several EPA teams that are out there right now. And when they clear areas, we're going to not wait till they clear all of it, but those sections, those grids, is what the chief was talking about and what you can find out from Darryl or from Josiah. The zones, the grids have a mix of homes and businesses in them, and some of them. One of the obvious areas, and I think this has come up a little bit already, are for those businesses and homes that were not destroyed, but were impacted. What that means is they may not have water, they may not have power, and they certainly do not have sewer. So some businesses, I'll give you the Cannery Mall as a real good example. We can get power there, but there's no water and there's no sewer. So the businesses there have to bring in porta potties, bring in hand sanitizing stations, bring in bottled water for your customers or for those that you want to come back there. So that's a very real barrier, but it's not created by anyone except for the circumstance. So other businesses, Gateway, Lahaina Gateway is similar. We can get them power, but we cannot yet get them water or sewer. And you all know as business owners, you need to provide that. You need to have that. If you have a restaurant, Safeway, for example, they wouldn't be able to open their deli because they won't have water to be able to do that there. So there's certain barriers that are created by the circumstance we're in, and that's why some of these businesses have not yet been open. We are hoping to get that solved very shortly. And again, Darryl Oliveira is working day and night on just that. For those of you whose homes are Mauka, and some folks are still living in their homes, we all know this. They're living off of generators, or they're living off of other forms because not all of them have those things I've already talked about. We're trying to figure out ways that they can remain there safely. Some showers and some porta potties were taken up there by the county early on, but that was not intended to be long-term. So again, I think those are some of the categories, I would say, of homes and businesses that where they currently are at.
Thank you, Mayor. So I just want to follow up, and I guess I would throw this at the Attorney General. Are you the civil authority? I stay this side, sorry. Yeah. Are you the civil authority on this?
No, I mean, the Attorney General's office is not the one, the entity that's prohibiting entry. It sounds like there's a law enforcement function that's being exercised. So we assist the state entities, but the county has corporation counsel.
Okay, thank you. I'll throw it at General Howard, if you can, please.
I just wanted to share. So in the Hawaii Revised Statutes, Chapter 127, Alpha 5, it says the mayor is responsible for emergency management within their respective counties. So as Mayor Bisson said, it's his authority through the Maui Emergency Management Agency and the rest of his cabinet as coordinating efforts. And also wanted to add that the Joint Task Force 5-0, the Dual Status Command, I have Brigadier General Steve Logan here. He is working closely with the county planners to make sure we have adequate soldiers that can support with the re-entry phase. So we'll be providing support at access controls and then escorts as we allow these people in the approved zones that are open for re-entry. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, General Howard. So my next question is, can businesses fast track building permits that they already have with the county? And if so, what does that process look like? Oh, Luana. Okay, are they here? Okay, so what I'll do is when we get that answer, I'll give it back to you. Oh, you got the answer? Okay, we're ready.
Various departments are working on the approach for expediting building permits. Suggest this discussion avoid many specific regarding the queue on setback requirements along the coast. with sea level rise and the CZM program. The county will likely look towards increased setbacks for our infrastructure as well as any construction. The discussion of any changes to LahainaTown will likely be contentious, require sensitivity, and needs to be held with the community in months to come.
Okay. Was it good enough? Any, you don't follow up? Okay. Okay, you know what? Javier, sorry, go ahead.
I think you're referring to Oceanside and LahainaTown, but what if you have a business in Kauai, Kapalua, not affected, but in the middle of a planning department permit? Can that permit be expedited for a business in order to get them up and running?
Okay, what I'll do is when we get the answer back, I'll give it back to the president and then he can disseminate it back to you guys. Okay, thank you. Next question. Will county setback requirements be waived for Lahainatown? And will properties which existed up to and over the water be allowed to be rebuilt with resilience? That's county. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. And then I'm gonna move to liquor control. Can a restaurant that burned down utilize their liquor license at another location in an expired fashion?
Okay, as far as relocating, right now we're looking into a process to expedite the relocation process. As of right now, a liquor license is specific to the location that it's issued to. However, we have been actively looking into the process of speeding up, specifically for businesses that were affected by the fire, and being able to take the existing licensee, more or less, to relocate to a new area or new property. Not so much the existing license itself, but the existing licensee in order to move to a new place. But yes, we are actively looking into that.
Okay, and then Lane, will the liquor department allow for other types of liquor businesses like a food truck for selling alcohol?
As of right now, there is no allowance for a food truck specifically to be licensed for sale of liquor due to the exclusive control requirement. But again, these are all, we're trying to be as creative as possible, and we are looking for these types of suggestions or recommendations that we can take forward and try to see if possible, if there's a way to make it work. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I don't know your name behind Javier. Sorry. Okay, Jim Walsh, can you talk loud? Because they need to hear. Oh, perfect. Go for it. Okay, go ahead.
I know personally have, in the boating community, some of the boats that were lost had liquor licenses. So they attach to the vessel of the company. If they get another boat will operate from Lahaina, operate out of Maui or somewhere else, will those liquor licenses be able to be transferred to a different boat so they can continue to operate?
See, again, in that situation, it's the vessel that is being looked at as the premises. But I do believe, and for the boats, it's actually a fairly quick process to begin with. There's only one hearing. So I believe that is something that can also be expedited. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Tamara, sorry. I mean, not Tamara, sorry. You look like Tamara, but can you state your name? Okay.
Do we have the resources for reviewing all of the applications that are coming in? Is that your question?
Well, more than that, looking both permitting, planning department, as well as the liquor department, do they have the resources for the acceleration and the change in programs that we're all asking for?
Yeah, probably not right now, but we are working on trying to get more resources to look at all of the things that we think need to be expedited, including some of those good questions about planning and permitting. We have We've been offered help from some of the other counties, their personnel, especially those that work in these same fields. So that's what we're exploring right now. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm gonna move on to DLNR, Dobar, and I forgot to announce it. They were on Zoom. So on Zoom, we have with us from DLNR, Chair Don Chang, Deputy Laura Kakua, Administrator Ed Underwood, and Assistant Administrator Megan Stats with Dobar. So the first question is, what slips are available to displaced boaters? And what about boaters that wanna come back? I don't know if it's Ed, it's a question for Ed. Is Ed on? Okay.
Lynn, can you hear us? Senator DeCoite, can
Yes.
you hear us now?
Can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I greatly apologize that we were not able to come in person. I have a slight physical injury, so I'm not able to travel at this time. But I do have my team. I have Laura Dobar, as well as I have other staff that are here in our land boardroom. We do have the questions that you provided, and I'm ready to go down those lists. Would you prefer that we do that?
Yeah, if you can, because of time, can you just go right down the list, read the question, and then you can go ahead and just answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. What slips are available to displaced boaters? At this point in time, we are trying to accommodate all of the boaters as best we can. Slips are available on a first come, first served basis. Boaters should check with the respective harbor if you're going outside. We have, if you want to go outside of Maui or you want to go to another harbor, we do have capacity, so it depends upon what we have available. But you are free to come to some of the other harbor facilities outside of Maui. We will try to accommodate you through offshore moorings as well. So just come into the harbor office or contact us, and we will try to accommodate you. If I don't see any questions, I'm going to go to the next question. What about boaters that want to come back to dock or use slips to Lahaina? Unfortunately, Lahaina Harbor is it is closed. It has been, most of it has been destroyed. So right now it is under Coast Guard. They do have approval to remove all the sunken vessels. They need to remove the hazardous waste first. And then once they remove all of the sunken vessels, then Dobar will be able to begin reconstruction of the facility. But at this point in time, Lahaina Harbor is not available for any use. Okay, third question. Is there an estimated timeline for operations boating out of Lahaina?
Chair, can we hold on just a second, Chair?
Okay,
I got a
sure.
I got a follow-up question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I had a question on, is there an estimated time where, say, the loading dock might be available for vessels to refuel or reprovision or have access to boats that are offshore, that there are a lot of boats in the that are anchored offshore that people have no access to?
Lynn, I'm sorry, we can't hear the question.
Chair,
Could
hang
you
on, let me
repeat
give
that?
him the mic. Hang on.
Thank you.
Yeah, hi, Jim Walsh again. The question is there a time frame that the Lahaina loading dock might be available? It's still standing. There's a lot of work that we realize that needs to get done. But is there an estimated time frame where that dock can be open for vessels to come into that dock, maybe reprovision, have access to take people out to boats that are moored offshore, or even fuel and get provisions?
You know, that's a great question, and thank you for that question. Because there'll be ongoing construction and there'll be activities by the Coast Guard for a period of time to remove the sunken vessels. Once Coast Guard completes their operations, and then Dobar is going to begin its construction of the boating, the dock. So at this point in time, for safety reasons, we're not going to reopen the ferry, even though it looks, and it is operable. Fortunately, the ferry withstood the fire, but we are not opening up the ferry just for public safety purposes because there's ongoing construction. But I will tell you, we will make a reassessment as we begin on the construction. What's possible? But at this point in time, we are taking a more cautious approach and not opening up even the ferry. We're trying to make accommodations at Ma'alaya without having to reopen Lahaina for any kind of activity because of the pending and ongoing construction and removal by both the Coast Guard as well as DOBAR once we start our construction. We appreciate your patience on that.
Chair, do you
Yes.
have other West Maui options?
We do. So you can go to other launch ramps or you can, and we do, there's Kihei, there's Ma'alaya. And I'm sure not everybody's going to be happy, but what we're suggesting is we don't want to increase the capacity at any of our existing, for example, Ma'alaya. So we would urge the Lahaina, those who have been impacted by the fire, if you could, and this is a whole leap of faith with all of you on Maui, that you will help kokua those who have been impacted. If there's an opportunity for you at Ma'alaya or the other facilities to share your permit or what you're authorized to do with those displaced permittees. We are also looking at reassessing. Right now, our priority has been on the search and recovery and Lahaina Harbor. We will be going back and reassessing the permits, contacting all of our permittees at Mala Wharf, at some of our other facilities to see who may be operational and wanting to restart. I do want to jump ahead to Mala Wharf because I know that that is a very important issue for many of you. Mala Wharf is operational, but currently it falls within the Coast Guard safety zone. So that is a constraint that we have under the current under the current situation. So, but more importantly, as I think Chief Patel mentioned, we have issues related to access. We are deferring to the County of Maui Police Department to give us a go-ahead when a safe access route might be open up from Mala Wharf. But until that occurs, we're not opening up Mala Wharf. It is still under the jurisdiction both of the U.S. Coast Guard and the county. So Mala Wharf is not being open, but DOBAR personnel will be contacting those of you who have permits at Mala Wharf and who want to begin, who want to restart your operation so that when we do have the go-ahead, you will be able to proceed in a safe fashion.
Okay, Chair, can we sum those answers up quicker if possible?
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Hang on, Jim. Jim, hang on. The gentleman in the back of the room, I know with the black shirt, you had a question. If you take him the mic, please. Sorry.
So Mala Boat Ramp has already been a contentious situation between commercial operators and the public use. There's a total of 16 permits that's allowed at Mala Wharf. We're not looking at bringing any more operators into Mala Wharf that is outside of these 16 permits. Again, it's already has been coming to a head between the public and the commercial users. And Mala Wharf was never intended to be a commercial boat ramp. And that's clear. So because we already have commercial operations there and we start to see the public and the commercial operations coming to an head, we cannot afford to have any more commercial people coming into Mala because with the situation we face now, be ready for it, right?
Okay.
Serious.
Mahalo Kai, appreciate it. Okay, let's move on to the next question, Chair.
Fast tracking permits for special moorings. There is no fast track. We still have to do the Army Corps permits, but we are moving those simultaneously. So if you want an offshore mooring, come to us with your application and we will process them at the same time as we proceed with the Army Corps permit. So we've only had one request so far, but we would urge you, if you want an offshore mooring, come to DOBAR to process that. Transparency and input on plan for vessel removal and rebuild of Lahaina Harbor. As I previously mentioned, that is currently under the U.S. Coast Guard's authority. They're using federal funds to remove all the sunken vessels. Once they are completed with that and the debris removal, then DOBAR can go in. And we do have a plan that was, unfortunately, it was coincidental. We were ready to rebuild the docks at Lahaina even before the fires. So we've got a contractor that's ready to come on board and start almost immediately. We know that Lahaina is an economic engine, so we would like to start that, but we will be, we do want to reach out to the stakeholders. I appreciated the last gentleman's comment. That's why I'm saying, one, we're not opening up other facilities to exceed its capacity, including Mala, because we have to make sure that there's safe infrastructure like water. There's also place for porta potties, parking. So we are taking seriously consideration of the community's concerns as we begin to open up these areas in phases, balance against the commercial operators' desire to come back. The last question, okay, and then I have another one, Lynn.
Yeah, go ahead, Chair.
Opening up state or county lands and empty lots for vessel storage, allowing Zodiac storage high tide in Ka'anapali. We are willing to consider, come and contact us. We're also having our land division, and I talked to even DOT, if there are lands available that may be vacant on a temporary basis for storage, we are willing to explore that.
Chair, who's your contact for that?
That would be dope. That would be Ed and Megan
Okay.
at DOBAR. Please
Okay.
contact them. And then we also have land division looking at some lands, but contact Ed and Megan as the first point of contact for available lands.
Okay, thank you. And then we can move on to the next question.
Can our support
Oh,
vessels?
hang
and
on, hang on, Chair. Go
Sorry.
ahead. The one next to Jim, sorry.
Thank you. I have a couple of questions. Is it possible to get plans? I lost my boat in the fires. Is it possible to get the plans on the design of the new harbor so I can build a specific boat to fit my slip? That's one question. And my other question is it an absolute no on opening Ka'anapali or Ma'alaya to the impacted vessels in Lahaina Harbor to just temporarily 6 months, possibility of running during this winter or so forth?
First, I'm going to let Ed answer the question about making the plans available for stakeholders review.
Yes, we can make the plans available. The intermarginal wharf is already designed. We were ready to go on September 5th. However, due to the fire, it's delayed, obviously. The docks are actually on island. So once the harbor is cleared, we can go ahead and begin construction. Our marginal wharf will probably look similar. What we're looking at doing is the fixed finger piers.
Not too much detail.
Next to the, okay. And we're looking at maybe converting those to floating docks. But it'll look the same.
But you can contact Ed Underwood if you want to see the designs.
Okay. And then the second question.
Yeah, and that kind of goes back to the previous gentleman who talked about tension with community. So both Ka'anapali or whether it's Ma'alaya, other facilities, we are trying not to exceed any of the capacities. We really are trying to encourage the vessels that have not been impacted, the permittees that have not been impacted by Lahaina. We would ask that you consider sharing time, maybe in the morning, or some other ways. Our DOBAR team, who's been focusing on search and rescue, are now going to go back and start looking at how do we reopen safely without, again, expanding capacity because of the community's concerns. So they will be contacting you, whether we have stakeholder meeting groups for the different facilities. But again, I would reach out to your brother, sister, permittees in these facilities, those of you who have been impacted, and really consider sharing with them your permit usage so that we are not increasing the capacity, but creating an economic opportunity for these displaced Lahaina boaters.
Okay, thank you, Chair. If, so, ma'am, you with the glasses, can you state your name too, please?
I'm Heidi.
Heidi, go
May
ahead. Heidi.
we have a meeting with DOBAR, DLNR, so that we don't, it's a small section of businesses and don't have to interfere and I don't mean to say the word bother, but something separate, because in Lahaina, we often feel that we don't get the attention from Honolulu. Maybe you don't even have to come here, but listen to us, meet with us, and then maybe the restaurants get to meet with the people that would affect their businesses as much. Can we have a meeting where you guys promise to meet with us and we can proceed from there?
Yes, Heidi, I commit to you. We will do that. If I'm trying to figure out how do I get your name and address.
I'll get her name and address to you, Chair.
Okay, we have it. Megan just said we have your address, Heidi. So we'll be in contact with you, and if you can help coordinate the boaters. But yes, we'll have a conversation as soon as possible with the boating community. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Thank you, Chair. Okay, I think the last three questions you've actually answered already. It was in the top section. It became repetitive. I'm gonna jump to Department of Transportation Highways. Can the bypass project be fast-tracked to get traffic to dump out directly into Ka'anapali?
So on behalf of highways, they've looked into it. So they're looking at if they're using local funds only, that's state money, it'll take 6 years. There's no fast tracking that. The emergency proclamations don't circumvent that. There's a lot of permitting, design, environmental clearance that needs to occur. If federal funds are used, that timeline gets pushed back to 7 years. So not ideal news, but just know that our highways team is working very hard to figure out what to build and how quickly to do that and how to use as various resources as possible. They're also out there clearing out fuel, not just on Maui, but across the state to prevent other fire spread, and they're putting in fire breaks also.
Thank you, Dre. And I know Ed is out there working hard. Appreciate it. Next, I'm going to move on to Department of Agriculture. Sharon, this question is for you. Opening up state or county lands and empty lots for vessel storage and any available state ag land in West Maui that could be used for vessel storage or temporary business operations. Should I help her turn them on?
Thank you. The first two questions, we do not have ag lands on Maui that are available. Very little ag lands on Maui that are state. There might be some at the county level. The third question, how to replace lost veterinary records? If the records were digital, we can recover them. We were in the process of transitioning from paper to digital, so there's a lot of digital records. If your question has to do with a veterinary business for a private type of pet, you would have to check with your vet and hope that that vet has the records on digital. Very few paper records are available at this point. Senator, can I go back on another topic?
Sure.
Okay, so there's much talk about grants, and thank goodness there's a lot of grants available, but to the business community, may I say that you really should look into your Hawaii Compliance Express. In order to access federal or any kind of public funding, you do need to be compliant. During the pandemic, there was a waiver for the IRS type of compliance, but even that, after the emergency proclamation ended, you had to be compliant. So you couldn't get your final payments, for instance, on a grant if you were not compliant during the period. You needed to be compliant after. So that was my last comment. Thank you.
Thank you. And then for those of you at Ag, Sharon is the queen of grants in the Department of Ag. So go chase her down after this meeting. Okay, next up, DCCA. What can we do about our insurance companies wanting information that we can't give because we don't have access to our properties?
as mentioned, well, before I go on, the first thing after the fire occurred, we encouraged the insurance companies to use geo mapping, which is using a aerial view overlay with a map of the street. It's clearly indicated that a home or business had completely burned down. We encourage the companies to start doing their claims processing immediately. As mentioned by the governor and mayor and the police chief, for those businesses and homes that may be partially damaged or it's okay, but access, health and safety comes first. And so we'll work with the county as areas open up and, allowing the companies access into the areas to move along the claims processing.
Thank you. Question, you with the nice fluorescent shirt. Oh, hang on. Let me give you the mic because so that way they can hear too. Sorry. And then just state your name for us.
Yeah, I'm Gunner's Valkyrs. I own the chocolate factory in the Lahaina Business Park. And my factory is off the grid. I never lost power. It's totally undamaged. And I've been denied access this whole time. I was able to go in for 3 days right after the fire before they put up the blockade. I absolutely know there's nothing wrong with the factory. I just can't get into it anymore. So in order to get an insurance claim processed, there needs to be an official declaration by whoever the authority is, the civil authority that ordered the blockade. And when did it start? How long will it go? Really only have 2 weeks of coverage for lost business income. Okay. And because there's no property damage, there's no other claim for lost business income. It's only this blockage.
Okay, let me have the governor answer that question for you.
Yeah, so the purpose of this meeting is very helpful because I'm getting some information right over to like the Attorney General and their team. So this is an issue, for example, also for timeshares who have a similar problem. They may be untouched, they can't be used, they can't file an insurance claim. So I'm going to get some kind of comment, I believe, into the next, and we can do these things very rapidly in the next iteration of the emergency updated proclamation, so we can get you clarity. I think that will be a place, although I know that the county weighs in on the specific areas, but the state has some capacity there too. So we'll try to get real-time answers for you there, and we'll get that covered.
Sir, in the orange shirt, can you grab the mic and then state your name for us, please, and your question?
Aloha, Lopaka Wilson. I'm from West Maui Sports and Fishing Supply. My insurance company needs me to get a fire claim. I called to get a fire claim report and there hasn't had one done yet. So there's no official fire claim because it's not just one building or one business. Is there any way to fast track that or?
Fire. I mean, I never meant it like that, but I meant, I'll let Senator Keokalole take this question. Oh, Gordon, you.
In terms of the fire claim, could you provide clarification? Is there a similar, like a declaration that has to be made by the fire department, or is the insurance company saying you need some kind of proof?
Aloha, Katie Wilson. I'm Lopaka's wife, West Maui Sports and Fishing Supply. These are for the smaller insurance companies. They're requesting a fire report with our address, and they will not process our claim without a fire report. I've told them to reference FEMA, told them to reference the news. They're saying we need a fire report. We called the fire department, we've called the police department, we've called everyone we know. We get nothing.
Okay, well, if you can provide your name and information, I'll be in contact with you and we'll work with you.
It's the same with the SBA agent, loss verification construction analysts. They're claiming they can't move forward with any of our claims if they don't visit the property, even if they can look, walk away, they have to do their diligence is what they're claiming.
Yeah, that's become a repeated thing within everyone is this proof that this happened. And it's like, well, look at the news.
I would encourage everyone to write to the insurance division and let us know what's happening, and we'll work with you to work with the companies to move the claim along. Our address is insurance@dcca.hawaii.gov, or you can call us at 808-586-2790. So I really encourage you to reach out to the insurance division, and we'll work with you to move this along.
How many of you are having the same situation with the SBA? And the reason I asked, a lot of you. The reason I asked that is they're working out of the convention center in an office right next to ours as we speak. So if you can, at the end of this meeting, give me your information and I'll make sure that they connect with all of you. You're right, they can watch the news and they can pull up, they have maps on their GPS to their computers and they can find out if your business was destroyed or not. So I'll connect you with the SBA if you folks see me after this meeting.
Thank you, Director.
Sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Brian.
Can I just also add that we are at the Lahaina Civic Center, the DRC, DCCA has a table. We have the insurance division. We've been there for the last, from the 15th on. So you're welcome to come there and talk to someone from the insurance division about your concerns.
And then yesterday also CNHA opened up. They also have SBA in their area too. They just opened yesterday, and I believe they took in over 170 something intakes. So if you're on that side too, you can drop in. Okay, so next question. Sorry, go ahead in the red. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So my location is right on Kupu'ohi Street. Literally, we're right next to the Bennett stop. But we've been trying to coordinate with the county, working together to get all our adjusters together on the same page, so that as the county opens certain areas, that we can go in immediately after the community has had an opportunity to see their spaces. For you folks, I would love you to give your adjuster my name, so I could get in touch with them personally, because there should not be a holdup for that. But you are facing two different things. You're facing civil authority, you're facing loss of use. The biggest difference is direct. So your situation, loss of use. Your situation, civil authority. I've not had a problem with my carrier giving me civil authority or giving me that resolve. So I'm not even sure, maybe Commissioner, what letter it should be. But I welcome any of you folks, if you have questions, to reach out to me. Again, if we can just co-ride with the county on this, as far as getting access for our adjusters, one speed, one time together, so we don't have over 100 people hitting the island to just visit individual homes. We're trying to get them all blocked into one area. And so within the first week, we sat and kept catching all these guys landing in Ma'alaya, probably about 44 different individuals. So we just want to help consolidate that, be respectful of the community. But if there's any way I can help, I'll give you my information after. I'd really love to.
Thank you. And then maybe I can hook you up with Luana. Yeah, Luana. Luana Mahi from OED. Thank you. Okay, next question. We understand that the governor's emergency proclamation prevents price gouging during this disaster, which is customary and also law. However, as mainland suppliers have and can raise their costs to local businesses who cannot adjust their prices accordingly, this equates to a loss for local businesses and can also be considered a breach of contract. What can be done so these businesses don't have a negative impact on outside pricing beyond their control?
So yes, we took that to the Attorney General on Friday. So we're trying to see exactly how to handle that, whether we release it for that transferred cost. We're of course trying to balance whether or not that will create a cost surge for local people, but I also understand that it's putting private businesses at 5, 6, 7% deficits if they've got a long-term contract. We know some people are already under contract for price raises that, for example, started September 1st. And I can only assume that that's going to have to be honored. So we should have an answer from the Attorney General soon.
Thank you, Gov. And then for HTA, us, the debate director, what is a unified date for tourism to restart zones/boundaries for reopening?
So I think Gov answered the question to as specifically as he could without getting, and I will tell you, the governor and his team have been working on this every single day that we're there, trying to balance when the right time is. He said earlier about the sensitivity of the people who have lost everything, also the sensitivity of the businesses who could lose everything. So we're balancing all of that. The other part of the question is the opening, which HTA, the board chair is in the back of the room, Blaine Miyasato, the public information officer is here, Ilihia Gaison. So the tourism industry is very important to all of us, but we just need to make sure that the message is at the right time. We want to make sure that events that are going to be happening on this side of the island, whether it's the Century Golf Tournament or the Maui Invitational, the Maui Gym Invitational, we don't think we can find a place on Maui for that basketball tournament. But if it leaves, we want to make sure that it stays in Hawaii. I did talk to Walter Hester 2 days ago and this morning. He doesn't own the company anymore, like some of you know, but he owns the name. So if they're going to move the tournament, he has to approve it. And if they're going to move it, the only place you want to move it to is the Blaisdell on Oahu. We have to move one tournament there to make it open and available. But all of those things are in the works, and the governor is attuned to all of that that's happening with those two tournaments. Max Novina just texted me now during this meeting. It's up to the mayor and the governor. If the mayor and the governor want the tournament to come, they're going to come. And as you know, many people who play golf have donated money to your fund. So I just wanted to let you know that those two events are on our calendar, and we're making sure that we can do the best to keep it, if not on this island with the basketball tournament, in Hawaii.
Thank you. So I'm going to jump right in because I know we only get about 20 more minutes. Department of Labor and Industrial Relations, who qualifies for DUA? Director Bute, if you can.
Do our disaster and employment assistance is PEMA funded, so they make the rules and the regulations. It's for business owners, self-employed, and individuals who are not eligible for the regular UI or unemployment insurance, whose employment was caused by the wildfire. Individuals who provide major support of a household due to the death of a head of a household, and then individuals who cannot perform their employment due to the injury from the wildfire. You have till September 25th. Documentation needed are ID, bank statements, tax forms, and affidavit.
Director, do you have like a paper or some kind of or a website that they can go to?
To file, you can go to HUI claims. That's one word, .hawaii.gov, or you can contact our call center, and they can we can file the initial claim on your behalf. There's an option for the Maui wildfires, option 0.
And then retention of workforce to grants, loan, or forgiveness. Any?
We don't have a retention of workforce, and the loan forgiveness program that we have is for people who've been working for the state for 5 years, and it's for a student loan forgiveness. But we got the dislocated worker grant. It's the initial funding of 10.5 million, but this is for disaster clearance, that is non-hazardous, and also humanitarian for distribution of essential like food and those kind of things.
Okay, and then the last question I have is, many workers work more than one job. Can they claim both UI and DUA?
No, you can't collect UI and DUA concurrently. In fact, one of the requirements of the DUA is that you are not eligible for the regular UI. I mean, it's not a, it's not to, it's not a replacement of income. It's a partial replacement, and it's a, provide, temporary relief.
Okay, thank you, Director. And then I'll move on to S. Anybody has any? So just to let you guys know, all of the questions and answers that are being responded to, we are gonna draft up a white sheet, and then I'll hand it back over to Sneh, and he can send it back to all of you if you have any other questions on the responses to that. So let me move on to SBA really quickly. Yolanda, will there be, oh no, you guys, well, will there be grants for businesses that burn or have been affected by the fire? Can you guys answer? So real short, simple, sweet, please.
Okay, in short, there are not any grants through the SBA. The SBA is providing low-interest disaster loans to businesses of all sizes, and we're also providing these loans for physical damage as well as the economic injury. Many of you already took advantage of the COVID EIDL program, so you're familiar with the economic injury disaster loan program. And for my folks who already have an existing COVID, I want you to know that you can go into that loan portal and request a waiver due to hardship. So I wanted to make sure that everyone understood, due to the nature of this disaster, you can request a hardship for the COVID EIDL, but I don't want anyone to miss out on the economic injury piece for this particular disaster. Loans up to $2 million for economic injury or an aggregate of physical damage or economic injury, interest rates of 4% for businesses, 2.375% for nonprofit organizations. There are deferments in place. You don't have to worry about loan payment until 12 months after your initial disbursement. So I want you to think about that. And I don't want anyone to just kind of preclude themselves from, I know everyone's apprehensive about taking a loan, but as Governor and some of our dignitaries mentioned, there are going to be lots of grant programs coming out. And I just want you to think of the loan program as another resource to help you with your recovery and also the resilience piece. For folks that had physical damage, there's additional monies available for mitigation measures above and beyond that $2 million. So that's another component. Another unknown component of the disaster loan program is that you can use your approved disaster loan, that is for physical damage, to relocate if that's an option. So there are many nuances to the disaster loan program. Please take advantage of any centers that may be near you. We do have a business recovery center opening on Oahu today, in fact. And you may not know that we have expanded the disaster declaration to include all of the islands of Hawaii for economic injury, because we all know that all of Hawaii is suffering as a result of the wildfire. So that's a newly add-on declaration from the last time we talked or spoke. So please know that the SBA is here to help and support. We also have our Small Business Development Center to help you to navigate what may be needed to prevent another type of disaster and to move forward with your recovery.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I skipped over Department of Health. And then welcome Representative Bellotti. Thank you for coming. She's here from Honolulu as well to help us answer some questions. I want to go back. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. Yeah, you had a question.
Yeah, my name is Barry Allison, and I'm thankful for all the resources that are being made available for our recovery. I did take advantage of the SBA loans during COVID, as many of us did, but then I also took advantage of the grants that were provided by the federal government. But the state then took a position that these grants were then going to be state taxable. So I ended up with a $60,000 tax liability based on the federal grants received personally. So I just want to know, are there any assurances that the grants that are going to be received from the Hawaii Foundation that are coming up, are they going to be Hawaii state tax exempt? And is there any possibility that the governor plans to revisit the forgiveness of the taxation of the grants from the last federal programs?
So we'll start with, these will be tax-free. We'll figure that out right away. Okay, I'm absolutely sympathetic to the situation under the last administration. I was hoping those would not be taxed, those grants, and we're still going to try to press that. Given this additional hardship, your story is very relevant. So again, we're pushing that forward right now in real time. So we're doing what we can right now to assemble rapidly this grant program. And like was said earlier, we hope by the end of the week, we're already here on Tuesday, that we can have an answer about how it's going to be structured. Okay, we'll be mindful to put clarity in there. Okay, about taxes.
Thank you. Sir, go ahead. What's that?
Thank you, everyone. I'm Rick Nava. Basically, I guess this question is probably for Congresswoman Jill Takuda, is that one of the things that's really affecting the state of Hawaii, we hear now more so in Lahaina, is the cost of living and everything else. As we know now, probably most of us here is underinsured because it'll take about $500 a square foot to rebuild. So with that said, is there a possibility at all during this time that the Jones Act could be repealed to help us here in the state of Hawaii?
Thank you for that question. And can I just say, I just really appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate everyone in the panel coming forward. I know many of them, I have seen you at resource fairs and centers for weeks and weeks now, and I know I will continue to do so, and all the electeds you have present here. And I just want to take this one opportunity, since I've been mostly a participant and a listener here, to say to, Mayor, I know he's had to go, but Governor, to all the elected leaders, this is a great meeting. And I stand by you to make sure we do have these kinds of meetings for the community as well. There are so many voices, as you've mentioned, that have questions, that need answers, that have perspectives and opinions. And I really think we've got to be able to do that as well for the broader general community here in Lahaina, and even those that have displaced even farther outside of Lahaina. So I look forward to committing myself to you that we will do those community meetings and have that community voice heard. In terms of the Jones Act, that is a contentious subject from even before the fires. I will tell you that in terms of making sure that these goods actually get to our shores safely, that they get to our shores in a way that will not price gouge as well, we cannot exempt ourselves from the Jones Act. I know that has been something that has been suggested and put forward. We will disagree on this particular premise, but I assure you, when it comes to both domestic security and the security of the state and our people, as well as national security, a Jones Act exemption is not something that we should be looking at or focusing our energy on at this time. We should be focusing on making sure that we can in fact build our homes here quickly through the permitting process, through so many other potential public-private partnerships. There are those, but I do think using this as an opportunity to exempt from the Jones Act actually is counterintuitive and counter-effective to the goals that we have to bring down costs and to build faster. So I appreciate that, and we can have a longer discussion after, as I'm sure we can as well, but thank you for that.
Thank you, Congresswoman. And then I'm gonna jump. So Dr. Fink from Department of Health is also on Zoom. If I could get you pulled up. And then one of the questions we had here was how do you replace lost medical records?
Aloha.
Aloha.
So for medical records, to the extent that the provider used an electronic health record and those data were stored off-site or backed up off-site, those could be recovered. If not, through the Hawaii Health Information Exchange, to which they have allowed providers free access, information can be recreated through like health insurance claims. So include diagnosis, prescription drug history. Some other information such as lab and x-ray might also be accessed directly from the service provider. So hopefully a lot of that information can be recreated. Over.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Fink. And then I have the last question for you is, what's Department of Health's role in any cleanup and testing efforts, whether air quality, water quality, business operations, green light?
So we're very actively involved in working with the county and federal partners to include setting up air monitors, providing training on water sampling. So we're providing technical assistance and guidance to the county to inform their decision-making. Over.
Thank you. And then I'm gonna finish this up because I want the governor to talk about the grant program that we're looking into. If you can shed some light on that, and then I'll just throw it back out for questions and answers. Thank you.
Okay, so once again, we've the House, we have the Senate, we have me. We have opportunities to get some grant programs going quickly. We do have to just kind of make sure that we settle our own business within the next day or two, okay? We do have the opportunity to use ARPA money. There is some remaining in the county and the state. That can be used right away. We've been told with the provision that it's a disaster, which is obviously the case. So we can do that. We have reached out already to the Hawaii economic folks who have raised a lot of money in a very good way, Maui Strong, and we spoke right before the meeting. So what we're looking at is trying to figure out, first of all, how the scope and size will be. It won't, and please correct me, this will not prohibit you from getting other loans or what have you if you do accept a grant, correct? Okay. And we're not interested in just setting up a program which is another loan. We know that that's not the desire of the group and the community. We're looking at $10,000 for small businesses and $20,000 for larger businesses. I know that that's not going to solve people's problems, but I am also aware that it might at least buffer us until we get to a place where we can start recovering, or until you can get those larger programs in place, loans and what have you. We're trying to also avoid setting too many people off into unemployment. We know that that's going to immediately cause great cost and hardship also. So that's what we're looking at. We do want to we owe you an answer, I think, as soon as humanly possible. Friday sounds about what is most likely possible. And it's hard to share more detail with you than that, except that we would go through MEO. It does look like they have a lot of capacity to help us with that. And of course, our Department of Labor, Department of Human Services, the DCCA folks who license all of our businesses, everyone has a lot of information. What I would recommend is be very ready with your most important basic information about your business or company so that we can at least verify that it's been an operating business here in Maui. It will not surprise me if there are other people that try to seek a grant out of a place of desperation, but this has to be for Maui. Other questions on this approach? Okay, so what will be, okay, yes, sir.
Ken Utterman, a small business owner, just really appreciate everybody's help and what you're trying to do with the grant. Just to quantify it, it's about $2 million a day for all the small business just in Lahaina. So, I know it's with great intent, but just for, we have a Wahoo business, but for the other businesses strictly in Lahaina, it's $2 million a day is what the income was for all the businesses. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. The loan program, forgive me, a grant program that's going to stand in right away. We don't expect $25 million to cover everyone's costs. Really, we're trying to create some small bridges to get us through to the time when you can either take a large look at whether or not, there's at least two categories of businesses here, right? Those who are completely destroyed, who are going to have to rebuild completely or relocate, depending. And then there are businesses who are on the periphery of the disaster, which will be opened before terribly long. We've discussed that already. And in truth, the sooner we can get to a place where people can travel to businesses, the sooner people can get back active, the better for the community on the whole. And please do make sure you share with us what you think that will look like, whether people will be okay with that. That's very important to us. And you will also be part of our voices if that's the decision that's made. It's very important that we all get on the same page to the extent that we can. I know that won't be 100%, but we definitely don't want to be in conflict with one another during this reopening phase. And then needless to say, there are a lot of other programs, whether they are FEMA or personal grants and so on, which will in many cases make it a little easier on some of your employees. So they'll have some buffer of money, unemployment, the monthly grant that's been discussed. Again, that's all grant funding, that's not loans.
Thank you, Governor. So I just want to remind everybody, I know I have some of my colleagues that need to fly back to their homes or actually to place of business. So I will probably another 5 minutes. And for those questions that we haven't answered, so basically the questions that I gave them earlier. Okay, hang on.
And I just want to share with you about the impact of the meeting. So from where I sat on Kauai, I've been to the convention center to look at the rehousing program or shelter program that Director Tokioka has been running, and getting people out of the congregate shelters was at the utmost of my mind. And I've been asking every state agency, where do you have land available so we can deploy housing? Coming here today, I heard that there are other needs and other uses for the land, and I'm going to leave here today with a much broader perspective. So I appreciate what you guys have shared with me and opened my eyes to a lot different needs that are here, and why we shouldn't be making assumptions from Kauai about what you need on Maui. Nobody can tell us better than you yourselves. So I appreciate hearing you today.
Thank you, Senator Perez. And that's why a lot of our colleagues are here, because some of the stuff that we have and that we work towards, if it can't be fixed, we try to legislate it, which is why none of them wanted to come in until we were asked to come here. And that's our commitment to you guys, is that we don't want to just barge and come in here, but we want to make sure that you guys are okay with it. And I know you have a question.
Hi, Katie Wilson. In regards to the SBA, I'm really curious about businesses that were shut down for 10 months during COVID and took out all these loans and made all these accommodations to make your restaurant have more space for people to be outside. We spent all that money and it's all burned, and we all still owe that money. Is there any way to make these loans forgivable? Like, what does the hardship waiver entail? Is there legislation to make it forgivable for all of the businesses that have been impacted so heavily? No interest, anything?
I'll give that to SBA.
Unfortunately, there's not currently any legislation to make the loans affordable at this time. The hardship involves a deferment of payments on your COVID idle, so at least to give you some breathing room. So you want to definitely log into your COVID portal to request that hardship. If you have any additional questions on the loan and where you can move with that, our customer service number is 800-659-2955. But like I said, you know, this is moving, this is growing, this is very, very much organic. And with our legislatures here, I'm sure they're going to take your concerns back higher so that we can perhaps move into some of those directions. We hear your cry and we understand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Lynn. Yeah, I think one of the things is, in speaking with all the businesses personally, some of you guys, is we're not going to need just a year of deferment. We're not just going to need a year of support. We're talking about businesses that are going to need 3 to 5 years in that impact zone to even realistically talk about being back up and running. So that's the hesitation, is taking out a loan or even getting a little grant for that relief. It's that tsunami, that economic tsunami still going to hit you.
No, thank you, Steve. And we understand that. You know, this is why we are here, to try and figure out what we can do to help. I know you had another question next to Pam.
Yeah, my name is KL. I'm a small business owner out of Lahaina Harbor. One of our concerns is, not to bring this back all the way to boating, but Lahaina Harbor, there's a lot of boats that can be up and running quickly, and even Mala Wharf even faster. Can we eventually get a corridor that goes down to Lahaina Harbor? We could bus people in, we could figure out how to get people down there, but those businesses, they're not gonna be able to last a year, 2, 3 years to rebuild. A lot of these people, a lot of these companies, I lost my home, I lost my boat. I got to rebuild, but I will rebuild my boat before I rebuild my house.
So Kiao, I think Director Chang had said, if it's private property, are you guys looking for the permission of that corridor off of private property, or is it state land?
I would assume it'd be county. It'd be down a corridor, possibly down Front Street that runs, because I assume Safeway, and the restaurants behind. Safeway would be some of the first things to open. And then Mala, all those, that area is good. And if we could get a corridor down to the harbor to open the harbor, even if it starts off as the loading docks and then eventually the slips on the front row, we don't need the harbor to be completely rebuilt to operate.
I think that's a question for Director Chang. If you're still on, please. Don, are you still on? Or Ed? I guess they're not. Okay, I'll take that question back.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Senator
Okay.
DeCoite, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Thank you for the question. At this time, we are referring to the Coast Guard to do the removal of the sunken vessels and debris. After that, then DOBAR will start construction of the facilities. Therefore, at this point in time, for safety reasons, we're not going to permit any commercial use of the Lahaina Harbor. I know that that disappoints many of you. We will reassess once we start construction whether we can safely accommodate, both construction activities as well as vessel activities. But at this time, we're taking the precautionary approach and not permitting anyone to come back to Lahaina Harbor at this time.
Thank you, Director. And I just gonna say this, I know some of these answers is not what you guys want to hear,
Yeah.
but I'd rather give you guys a straight answer instead of lie to you. And we just want to make sure that is the reality of some of the stuff, more so on a safety perspective of all of you and health issue. Go ahead, sorry.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I'm representing the boating industry, and I just wanted to follow up by saying that Lahaina Harbor is not necessary for the Ka'anapali fleet or the Mala fleet to be able to begin operations. So gaining access to our vessels offshore is necessary, and to do so from Alaya is impractical. So the corridor to Mala is most critical for 2 sections of the fleet.
Senator, would you like me to answer that one?
Yes, please.
Okay. That currently is part of the Coast Guard safety zone, so we can't let any vessels through there. The other major issue is land access, and we cannot. We are deferring to the county before we're permitting anyone to access Mala Wharf. So the county needs to make sure there's a safe corridor, and that we also have the infrastructure, bathroom facilities, water, parking, but the 2 major constraints are U.S. Coast Guard and county to provide access on the land. Until those are approved, DOBAR is not opening up Mala Wharf.
Let me give you a little bit of satisfaction. So the way we structure the day-to-day meetings are there's a 7 a.m. and an 8 a.m. meeting, which are the kind of high-level decision meetings. General Hara, who is our incident commander, who's excellent. Okay, he will be. We take this back immediately, and therefore we have in those meetings the Coast Guard, in those meetings the directors, so we can get answers and progress when there is progress. I don't want to make a false promise. I just want to say it's not going to be a month until we hear. We just have these meetings essentially either every 48 hours or every 24 hours, depending which meeting. So we'll be able to get answers. If I may, obviously also rely heavily on your local representatives and the contacts you have, because we will feed them updates and they will feed you updates to more specific questions. You'll probably get broader pronouncements from our governor's office. So let me just say again, we're all heartbroken. We're heartbroken for you and with you. We all have family or friends that have been affected, but it's very helpful and really greatly appreciated that you're coming out in large numbers. Please share what you learned today with other businesses, with other parts of the community. Talk about what you think is appropriate for Maui. Talk about the things that we can do in the short term to decrease some of the suffering. Okay, there's going to be lots of opportunities for us to come, have conversations, to have plans. We're doing them day over day. I mean, these things are happening very quickly. So when good ideas come, we can put them quickly into the discussion. The grant program, the only modest, just began late Friday. So you get the idea. These things are happening in real time. So again, please accept just our heartsick and humble prayer that we can start getting better. but you help be our eyes as well into the community so that we know what will be acceptable as far as recovery and the timetable of recovery.
Thank you, Governor. And I am going to have to stop this meeting. I made a commitment that the meeting will go from 10 to 12. Any other questions
So-
that you guys might have, you guys can forward them to Sneh and he can send them back
Thanks,
to
Lynn.
us.
Just one more, Kavika wanted to just say something.
Okay, go ahead, Kavika.
Thank you, Lynn. Folks, I just want to let you know that this meeting was put together on Friday and it was very last minute. And I want to thank everyone that's here. We do have the room a little bit longer, but we want to end at 12. And we want to let everyone have a chance to network and speak to the people that you want to directly right after this meeting. I want to extend a shout out and a big mahalo to the hosts, the hotel. If you see a white hair friendly guy walking around greeting and aloha everybody, Andrew Rogers right here, the general manager, for letting us use this room. And his right-hand man, director of food and beverage, Chad, right next to him. All right, now.
And Shelby.
Please remember that the hotel portion of it, most of it actually is closed. So after, let's exit respectfully. And again, mahalo to the hotel and those that have made it happen.
Thank you, Kavika. So like I said, I committed those that have come from neighbor islands as well as those that are here on island that I would stop at 12. Any further questions, we will take it in from Sneh and they will get back to you. In regards to the meeting that you folks are gonna have directly with DLNR, you know, that arrangements can be made with Chair Chang, Director Chang. And, you know, I just wanna thank all of you. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with all of you. I wanna thank all of you from the community and the business community for being here. Mahalo to my colleagues, the directors that were here to answer a lot of the questions. And there'll be more questions to come. So I want to also ask Makalapo if she could close us with Pule and send everybody off. So mahalo and mahalo to Sneh and LAC. Thank you.
Mahalo ke akua for this time. We thank you for your supernatural protection and provision and blessings upon our community of Lahaina. Bless each and every one of us as we leave here and to get back to our homes and our families safe as well. We continue to ask that you lift our families of Lahaina up to you, Lord, and your supernatural covering of love and aloha, that we are the example to the world, that we are Lahaina strong, we are Maui strong. And we thank you for your supernatural blessing and coverings all over our leaders and who are guiding us. But again, Lord, we ask that you be in the center of all conversations and that your will is done. Imau aku kaloko mai ka iyo kahaku Yesu Kristo me ke aloha o ke akua. A me ka launa puana ka uhane he malele me ka ko apau. Amene, amene, amene. And if I may ask that we can all stand and we can all sing Hawaii Aloha like we usually do on Maui. Yeah. E Hawaii e kuone hanau e kuhome kula ivine oli noa ina pono lanio e Hawaii aloha e haoli e na o pi o Hawaii ne e oli mai na ahe makani e pa mai ne. Mau ke aloha no Hawaii. E haoli e na o pi o Hawaii ne. E oli mai na ae e makani e pamaine. Mau ke aloha no Hawaii. Mau ke aloha, aloha, Hawaii, Hawaii ne. And when I say paikolima, clap 3 times. Paikolima, 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 paikolima. Let's go do our kuleana. Mahalo no.